All right, iOS 18.3 is officially out today, and I wanted to talk to you about all of the changes and the new features that have come as promised by Apple, from Apple Intelligence to some walking back of some features after a bit of controversy. So we'll get into all of that in this video, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's talk about a few of the changes that came with iOS 18.3. Now, this one is not as revolutionary as 0.1 and 0.2, which brought a lot of really important iOS 18 features for Apple Intelligence, but there are a few changes. Okay, so I have moved inside the car because the sun is a bit too aggressive right now, but let's talk about these changes. So one big controversial thing that came in iOS 18.2 was the notification summaries. And so the notification summaries really would just take an amalgamation of your notifications. If you got a bunch of text or if there was a long message in a group chat, Siri through Apple Intelligence will summarize that notification so you can look at it at a glance and kind of get a gist of what's going on. This was not exclusive to messages. It would work in almost every app. So if you had like a garage door opener one, it would tell you how many times your garage door opened and most recently it was closed. Or with the news, it would summarize news article headlines or breaking news headlines. This is where Apple ran into trouble. So it was having a bit of trouble trying to summarize news articles or breaking news, and would often jumble up the context of all the different breaking news articles and kind of put them together in a funny way. But a lot of times it was actually not accurate to what was the reality of the situation. Now, I didn't personally see too much of this happening, but Apple did end up turning off this feature for iOS 18.3 for now, and to make it extremely clear when a summary is being used, and this is not the pure form of your notification, it is now italicized. So when you see a notification that's italicized, that one is summarized by Apple Intelligence. And this leads me to another thing that they've done in iOS 18.3 that's pretty significant. So it used to be that you'd have to go in and turn on Apple Intelligence, agree to the beta, blah, blah, blah. Okay, in iOS 18.3, Apple Intelligence is now on by default. So some people might be seeing italicized notifications and think, what's going on here? Well, that's because those notifications are now Apple Intelligence ified. And so you would not know that now your device, as long as it's an iPhone 15 Pro, Pro Max, or any of the 16s, is now using Apple Intelligence by default. Okay, but what does this mean for you and I? Well, it means that Apple will be able to fine-tune their Apple Intelligence product better, but also everybody's going to kind of be forced to use Apple Intelligence unless you opt out. It's kind of how a lot of tech works, is where it's by default opt in and you have to then opt out. This could go for things like training data that, let's say a company like Meta by default will train their large language model Llama on their data that you have uploaded. This could be through your posts and things like that. Whereas if you want to opt out, you have to go into your settings and do it on your own. But by default, you're opt in. And so a lot of tech companies work like this. Apple was unique in that they're quite privacy focused. And so they're often an opt out by default model, where then you have to opt in if you choose so. Well, that has now changed. So what does that mean in terms of the features you're going to get? Well, like I mentioned, you're going to have the summaries. If you're on one of the newer devices that I mentioned a few seconds ago, you're also going to get visual intelligence. Now, that one gets more granular because we did get visual intelligence in 18.2, and iPhone 15 Pro models don't actually get that one. So that one is exclusive to the 16 line of phones. But here's what changes with visual intelligence. So something really cool with visual intelligence is that now we will see the ability to identify objects in real time, and that will be playing right here, where I'll be showing how it identifies different trees. But it also works on animals, and look at this. We can add in things to our calendar or to contacts just using visual intelligence. Now, the way you do this, as you can see in the videos, is I hold on the camera control button until you see the Apple Intelligence things come from the side of the screen, and then it brings up intelligence. You can either ask or search Google. So this would be asking ChatGPT or searching on Google. I think this is going to be a hugely useful feature for people who get a bunch of business cards. You don't want to carry them around. Just hurry, get them into your contacts. If maybe this person doesn't have an iPhone, you can't do the tap to add them as a contact. And also for calendar events, if you see a poster, you can quickly add that into your calendar. This is actually something I have done recently. There was a car show, there's a poster, and I used visual intelligence to add it to my calendar really quick. So it's going to be these types of features, these very useful kind of niche features that will just make your day-to-day a little bit easier. There were also some bug fixes. There were some issues with keyboard usability on iOS 18.2, as well as a really weird feature, well, not feature, bug, with Apple Music, where even if you closed the app, the song would keep going until it ended. So that has been fixed, should no longer be an issue. And let me just say, if you have seen my previous video linked up above, but I was having a lot of trouble with my iPhone 16 Pro. I'm on my third one right now, and let me tell you, it's running a lot better, especially on iOS 18.3. It seems like the battery life has improved a ton, but also just the overall stability of the software has improved quite a bit. And so that's a really good thing this year, because we have seen that iOS 18 feels a bit rushed or just not very polished, the way that iOS has been in the past. So really good to see returning to normalcy in that sense. I did want to also mention, as far as Apple CarPlay features, we are not seeing any big changes for Apple CarPlay in iOS 18.3. However, just to reiterate, there are features such as spatial audio is now available when using Apple Music in a compatible vehicle. You have notification summaries. You can announce your notifications and messages here. And so that is a very useful feature in iOS 18 overall. As you can see here with Apple Intelligence and Siri, we still see the suggestions, automatic sending, which I did get a question about this in a comment on a previous video. This is how you are able to turn off the automatic send so that you can then confirm if you want to send that message or not. And so glad to see that this is still here and that we don't have to fight Apple on how to use our own devices. But overall, looks great. The overall Apple Maps experience does look updated, and we have these newer wallpapers as well for iOS 18. So just a bit of an update, nothing major in terms of the colors or the different designs. It's pretty much the same designs with slightly different hues, which you can kind of see here. So in terms of Apple CarPlay, nothing too different. But in terms of the full experience Apple CarPlay, which was supposed to come to your dash and your infotainment in select vehicles such as Aston Martin and Porsche, which were going to be some of the first ones to get that, we have not actually seen that yet. So yeah, a bit disappointing that we don't see the full new like Apple CarPlay 2.0 type thing in any vehicles yet, where essentially Apple will take over the entire system in your vehicle and will have a ton of customizability and different features exclusive to those vehicles that are compatible with the new Apple CarPlay. It was supposed to come out in 2024, then on the website it said 2025, but even that's been removed. So really we don't know. Maybe this project will get shelved, just like I think it was the Air Charge or something, the triple charger that Apple never came out with. But in the contrast to Apple not coming out with a dedicated CarPlay across your entire vehicle, Android, if you've noticed, has been doing this. So a lot of newer vehicles are running Android Automotive. This is different from Android Auto, which is kind of the CarPlay competitor. Android Automotive is the built-in software OS for these vehicles. You might see this in some Volvos and some GM products nowadays, where essentially, if you ever see like Google Maps is built in with Google Assistant, Google Podcasts, and the ability to download other apps like Spotify, your vehicle is most likely running Android Automotive. And so that's really cool. And I actually really like this, especially for the vehicles that still support CarPlay in addition, unlike GM. But essentially, you can, when it's your vehicle, you can just log in with your Google account, and now you have all your Google Maps, you have your contacts, you have everything synced up the way you like it in your vehicle, and it really gives that kind of Tesla experience where you get in and go and all of your stuff is there and you don't have to worry about plugging your phone or finding things. It's all there and a lot more integrated into your life, and I really like this. I kind of tried it in that Buick that I did a review on, catch that video up here, a bit ago, which did have Android Automotive as well, but there are new updates and it has improved, so I'm really happy to see that. Now, before I get to the final part of this video, I would like to say please like and subscribe. I appreciate all my new subscribers. The channel is growing and I'm really happy to see that, so thank you for your support. But I digress. What is the verdict? Well, I think iOS 18.3 is by far the most stable and the best update so far in terms of bringing everything together. It's not a huge change from 0.2 or 0.1, where 0.1 and 0.2 brought some big Apple Intelligence features. We'll probably see the new Siri and some other bigger features in iOS 18.4, which will come later in the spring, but this one really brings a lot of that stability, improving the battery life, really honing in on the Apple Intelligence features we have so far, and I think it's one that everyone should install, especially if you're on 0.2 or 0.1, because it'll fix a lot of stability issues and bug fixes that were plaguing those updates. So anyway, I appreciate you watching every one of my videos. Please like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. And if you want to see another video, I'll have some right here.